All right, should we do spoilers or non-spoilers?
I'm only a few episodes in, but I'm
okay. Well, then we can do like a few episodes in non-spoilers. Basically, just like set up like how this season begins, you know, and how that relates to how last season ended. And we'll talk about like how it's a 7-episode thing here, and then we're getting the other 7 episodes, but we won't give like major spoilers and plot points and stuff like that. How about that?
Okay.
And for the audience's sake, you should really get into Ozark if you never have. It is like we talk about it. You know, we like TV here. We're 3 guys who have a lot of spare time on our hands, so we're into TV. I get it, but Ozark is legit one of those top tier, like gold star. You know,
really is
the acting, the plot, like it hits it out of the park.
Like it's in my top 5 all-time TV shows, and we're 3 seasons in or something like that. It's incredible. Yeah. I love it. I think it's as good as Breaking Bad, maybe better. I think it's better than Breaking Bad. I do.
It's getting there. This new season, maybe it's like recency bias, but yeah, I'm enjoying it just as much.
So you said recency bias. I'm scanning myself for like nostalgia bias.
Yeah,
you know, was Breaking Bad really that good? If you rewatch it, will you be upset at fucking cinematography masturbation where they just fucking film a handle on a car for 13 minutes?
Here's why I prefer
you're watching the goddamn show through the reflection of a chrome door handle.
I like that stuff. So I really like that, and that's one of the things I appreciate about Breaking Bad. I do like cinematography, and it's like how the food is presented versus how the food tastes sometimes. Some people don't give a fuck. It's like mush it all together in a bowl. Let's go. But I don't know. Sometimes it's nice if it's presented in a kind of a fanciful way. I think that the parts of Breaking Bad that are the best thing since sliced bread are when Walt is getting hardcore. When Walt says, what's my name? Heisenberg, you're goddamn right.
Yeah.
Or when he tells her, you think someone knocks and they answer and they get shot, and that's me? That's what you think of me? I am the one who knocks. Like it's like, fuck.
Yeah,
what am I watching? Or when he runs those fucking guys over and kills them in the fucking street, and he looks up at Jesse and he just goes, run. Like those moments, or when Gustav Fring comes down there and doesn't say a fucking word while Walt is basically begging for his life, takes his suit off slowly, puts on the fucking lab coat, and slits the other guy's fucking throat while they watch and never says a word. Like, you can't beat moments like that. That's where that show like kills it and blows shit away. But true. Ozark does something that show never could. They have that criminal mastermind thing where a family's involved with cartel money laundering, very similar to what Walt was doing. Also involved with cartel, like drug business and money laundering. Very similar premises. And in both situations, your main character, if you want to make Jason Bateman the main character of Ozark, which is being generous because there are a lot of good people in there.
Yeah.
They're both experts in their field who are required to make the drug business money cartel thing work. And they're both geniuses. The problem with Breaking Bad is I can't fucking stand that crippled ass son. I wish they'd aborted that baby and that wife, that chunky faced wife. I wish that the cartel had tortured her, like fucking cut her.
Okay, I'm on board with Skyler. Skyler was one of the most annoying characters in TV history because Walt was just being cool as can be, and she would be just raining on parades left and right. The son was such a minor part of the show for me. Like,
all right, well then that's a personal thing for me where I just hate that crippled fuck.
I did hate when he wrecked that beautiful Pontiac Aztec in that open parking lot. Scratched his dad's car. That was I remember like seeing some article where they're like, we wanted to give Walt a car that says loser, and so so they picked Pontiac Aztec.
I always thought that was a cool car when it came out. Like it looked fun.
They're apparently
all right. We're not talking about Pontiac.
Anyway, yeah. We're talking about
Jason Bateman's family is all fucking down. Not only are they down, but they're good at it. Like his like 17-year-old daughter is great. Already master manipulator, well-spoken, beautiful, charming, well-dressed, well-spoken, like all of the above. She's already like a little miniature of her mother, ready to be plugged in to any societal like junction, any like position of like quasi power. Oh, I run this foundation that's over these
Yep.
and yeah, of course we influence the Southern Trade District or whatever the fuck. It's always something. Some strings are being pulled. Like she's already like ready to be plugged in to that position of power. The son is some kind of a servant, and he's just so smart that I don't know what to do with him. He's a millionaire already.
A servant in the
Yeah,
show.
Yeah.
For a second, I thought you did. I'm like,
I'm sorry if that's a minor
Ruth
spoiler,
says
but I
it,
think
yeah.
the joke will still hit the same.
They say he's some kind of servant, I think.
He's some kind of servant. I think he's one of them servants.
Yeah.
Something like that. And his wife. I love Wendy. Ruth is the little blonde girl.
Mm-hmm.
Wendy, Ruth, and Jason Bateman's character, Marty, I think, they compete for my like favorite. We cut between a lot of characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when Game of Thrones was on, Jon Snow time was pay attention time.
Mm-hmm.
There were sometimes it was like, oh, it's the Hound. Okay, I like this, but I don't really need to pay too much.
It'd be like, oh, it's a Sansa scene. I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Can skip that one. Skip that one almost. But when it's Marty or when it's Ruth or when it's Wendy, I'm paying fucking attention. I'm entranced almost. They're so good, and their scenes are always so good.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell which one is better at what they do. They're all just so good at what they do. They're little.
And I like the way that Ruth.
Have you gotten to the part, Woody, where Wendy sits down with her father at a diner?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, I don't want to like fuck this up for anybody who did watch it or anybody's going to watch it. When Wendy sits down in a diner to speak to her father, listen to her accent, her character's accent throughout the whole scene, and see if you can catch what's happening, because that's some of the best acting I've ever seen.
What?
It was
I thought you were
so
going to complain
good.
about the accent.
Her
Okay.
father,
No, she's good.
her father is a more rural guy, and he's telling her, well, I talked to the church and they said I should come on in here and see about things. She's like, oh, well, if the church all got together and they said that it was okay for you to go see about your dead son, well, then I'm glad that you checked with them first. She has that's her thing. Yeah. That's her cadence. That's her delivery.
Right.
And she's got this very eloquent way of speaking, and she's nailing all of her. And then, but after a while, she starts talking to her dad, and she's had just about enough of him, and she falls back into her real accent, the one that she grew up with, the one that she left behind to go to Chicago and to become the person she is now. It's not even mentioned. Nobody brings it up. It's just, it happens, and then it goes back. She goes from her Chicago accent, the one she has 99.99% of the show, to her Southern accent, and then back up into her real accent, and it's never even spoken of. No one notices it, but I did.
I noticed that too, because I pay attention to how characters speak, and she did a really good job of that. Like you're exactly right. I'm so exasperated, I just can't, put on an air or keep the walls up. Like I'm aggravated. She, for me, like Wendy is like a Ramsay or a Joffrey character, where like every time she's on screen, I'm locked in. But good God, she might be morally as despicable as the cartel guy.
I disagree.
Like she makes some rough decisions.
I disagree. I like all of her decisions. I agree with them 100%. One of the things that I don't like is
I feel that way about Marty. I feel like Marty's got it all under control and everybody else is fucking it up.
Yes.
Wendy has this thing where I can't tell sometimes whether she is actually, here's what's happening. Wendy can't tell anymore when she's lying and when she's not. Wendy is telling the same lie. Wendy is telling so many lies that she is starting to believe some of her own lies, and she's snapping in and out of that, and it's not surprising to her. She's just like, oh yeah, okay, that's the reality that we're in right now. Okay, let me shift realities real quick over to the one that fits this current moment. She shifts realities and characters so much, and I love that about her. I dig that about her character.
But she does, like, there are times where because she's obviously more emotionally driven than Marty is, where she'll like lash out at a partner. I'm not going to say anything specific, but she will do things in anger that then give like Marty a huge workload of like trying to undo, or a deal that doesn't pan out because she was.
I don't think it's anger. I think it's all calculated. I think she is actively.
Well, and those were some bad calculations a couple times because they lost business and it took them way longer to launder the money because of what she did.
I think she's okay with that though. Like anything to like damage those people she doesn't like. We're
she is
talking,
vindictive.
we're talking to too many layers here, but just to be clear, like fucking amazing. The first season of Ozark is like an 8 out of 10. The second season of Ozark is like an 8.5 out of 10. And so far, this is like matching that. This is staying right on par with it.
What's cool, and we've alluded to, is that everyone's competent. And it's interesting to have plot lines that run around competent people who are pretty good at what they do. No one's an idiot. There is no dad from King of Queens in this show. Maybe there's some idiots.
So the interesting thing is there are only two types of people. There are only two types of people in the show: geniuses and idiots. There are very few characters in between, and the ones in between are almost like the ones that if they can't be manipulated, and if they're not smart enough to be manipulating, then they're not characters in the show.
Yeah. I mean, the stupidest guy in the show is the dude who's just getting manipulated up and down, and now is running the motel.
Yes.
Like,
agreed, 100%.
He's a dummy. He's also, I hate that guy. Every time he's on screen, he's boring. I know his whole job in that acting role is to be a boring schlub, a clueless idiot, but like, he annoys me. I don't like that. Yeah, it's a tremendous show. I really enjoy
the son from the Kansas City Mob, that character, he's a bit of a dunce. He's got his own show on like some other show. It's been advertised to me a couple times. He's some kind of like badass or something. I need to look into that because I do like that actor. He got his dick blown off last season. With a shotgun for beating Ruthie, and this season to see like how that relationship has changed is really interesting. I recommend everybody catches up. Avoid those spoilers because some big things happen, and this is one of those shows where no one is seemingly safe. Whenever there's a few times in this season where main characters literally get like whisked away in black SUVs to go meet with a cartel boss, and I'm worried for them the same way I was worried when like in Game of Thrones when there'd be a big battle or something.
I disagree with you on the everyone's safe. Who's not safe in this show? Since the beginning, I can't think of a core character who's died.
I was really surprised when they blew Helen's head off.
Yeah, when they blew Helen's head off at the end of the third season, that really surprised me. I did not see that coming. I didn't think that. Fuck, what was Darlene's husband's name?
All of the Langmores that have been killed.
Okay,
a bunch of Langmores, but Darlene's husband, I thought, like the heroin guy, I thought he was going to be like
and Woody
for a while.
I want to murder the wife.
And Woody, again, I'm not trying to like spoil anything, but watch the rest of this season, and maybe you'll think
I'll feel like someone unexpected dies, perhaps.
Sure, maybe you never know. Good season, great season. Remains one of the best shows that I've ever seen, and is currently the best show airing on television. If you're giving it some sort of like real measuring, like look, I love Peacemaker. I'm gonna watch the new episode when I get off of like here. But Ozark is killing it. So good.
I like you talked about how there was like that kind of triad of battle. Like Wendy and Marty are ostensibly they're on the same side, but there's so much sniping that like they're not truly holding a united front. And then Ruth, and you would think like, oh, Ruth in this kind of competitive thing, she's kind of taking on Wendy and Marty, and then it's just her. And you would think it'd just be she'd be getting trounced all the time and outthought and outsmarted, and they're just too clever. Like she plays that character of like street smart, knows how to wheel and deal really, really well. Like Ruth just keeps going up by my estimation, like in my likeness.
That smart though, right? No, I guess
she did.
When he first hired
she was
her,
always very clever. Yeah.
Well, she's learned a lot since then, but she was always she had the raw materials to learn.
I think what happened was
from low level
Marty
crime.
I could be wrong about this, but because it's been like year, I only watched it once, but I think there was a part where like Marty was like, "I'll give you $100,000 just to forget about all this." She's like, "No, I want a job."
Yeah,
I work for you now. He's like, "Wait, what?" Yeah, we all do. It's like,
but yeah, she basically seamlessly transitioned her low level like crimes with her uncles and dad, and into using that thuggery and manipulation in the services of someone for a much higher level crime. Yeah. So I like all the moving pieces.
Like, she is someone who can get shit done because she knows all the local scumbaggery. So if Marty really needs something, Marty is in a position where he has endless wealth at his disposal. He can call the cartel and be like, look, it costs an extra 100,000. So if Ruthie's like, all right, it'll cost you 400,000 and 100,000 for me.
Yeah.
Wait, what'd you say? 100,000 for me. Say it. 100,000 for you. Like, what's Marty going to say? He needs this thing done or everyone dies. And she says, I need 100,000 more dollars. Well,
and if you have a
multi-billion-dollar deal, so hurry back.
And like, if you haven't noticed, Marty hasn't made any friends in the Ozarks. He's not connected to any of the locals. Like, she is his only kind of reach into the community to get stuff done. And
it's a cool community. They've built a nice web. So sometimes what shows will do when they're this good is they'll start thinking about a spinoff right about now. I hope they do that because the Kansas City mob could be its own thing. You know, I'm interested in that. I'm interested in what's going on in Mexico with the cartel. And I think that the next 7 episodes or however many there are the last of Ozark. So I'd be interested in a spinoff if it was by the ssame, creators or writers or something like this.
Definitely.
This is just really fucking good stuff.
I don't know which direction I'd want the spinoff to go in more.
Ruthie. I want to see Ruthie do stuff. That's what I can't decide whether I like Ruthie, Wendy, or Marty more. When Ruthie is on screen, she has my fucking attention. And when she is sad, I believe it. When she's angry, I believe it. There's a scene where she gets angry in this season that you haven't gotten to. I love it. She's just, this isn't a spoiler. But someone is trying to calm her down. They're like, no, you can't do any of that stuff you just said you were going to do. She's like, if you want to stop me, you have to kill me. And she's got a shotgun. And everybody's just like, well, we're not going to kill you.
I like her just as much as you do. I do find her world where I guess she's a rich person living in poverty to be less interesting. I like someone who can buy a car, someone who can.
I like
Did you
that
see her do her big
dingy
business
existence.
deal yet?
Does this have to do with the motel?
Yeah, come on, that was pretty slick.
Well, where I am, we don't know if it's such a good move or not yet. Where I am in the season,
I don't think we ever figure out if it's a good business deal or not.
That hasn't come to be revealed yet.
That's a small plot point at this point. There's so much.
I mean, like I could have gone in there and paid too much for a building. Like, did you see her? Did you see the way that she offered well above market and got him to say yes?
Well, she was buying something.
but you have to think about like time sensitivity for them. Like an extra $50,000, like to them is nothing. Like she's basically acting like she's got so much money that Marty's handed her that but she needs it in like a legitimate business. And so it's more of like before anything fucking happens,
afford a pedicure and a manicure and whatever.
She doesn't want it. That's not her personality. She's an Ozark girl. She just wants to hang out in her trailer.
I really like that.
And drink Miller Lite. The fuck?
Why does she need more than $16 a day?
She doesn't. You could support her on one of those Kenyan commercials from the 90s.
The problem. So this is some of the stuff I like about her character, right? And she says this at one point in the season. She says, "Why did God make me smart enough to know how fucked all of this is, but not smart enough to get myself out of it?" Talking about like the world she lives in, and that's where she is. She's smart enough to know, but she's too dumb to fucking leave. And she's got her family there that she doesn't want to leave, and she keeps asking her family like, "We've got enough money to do whatever we want. Let's leave." And they're like, "I kind of like being a dumb hick living on the lake here with the FBI and the cartel trying to kill me. It's fun."
But those other guys are trying to convince. They don't know the full danger they're in. Like, there's no way she's too shrewd to be cutting them in with all the info and how much money she really has.
Don't you? That gets back to my point earlier. Ozark is populated by 2 types of characters: those who are people with 145 IQs and people with 85 IQs. There are no 100 and 120 IQs. There's no one who's just like, well, none of this makes sense. This is not adding up. No, sir. Like the private detective, they describe him workaholic, leaves nothing unturned. He was the best. He solved a murder a week, sometimes 3.
I liked that
Really?
character.
They got Shaft on the case. Like fuck.
Yeah, they were talking about
Carl
like
Winslow.
they were talking about like his crime solving ability, and I'm like, it's a danger to society that they took him off the beat. Like get him back in the game, guys. Like come on.
They literally like the private detective who happens to be snooping in on them happens to be Sherlock fucking Holmes. He's traveling the country. He's driving hundreds of miles on hunches and like asking like pointed questions and manipulating people to get where he needs to go. And he's being paid pennies.
Oh yeah, and like something like you're talking about the driving stuff. It'll be something like, I got a clue about something going on in Eastern Tennessee, so I'm gonna drive over there, and it's like that's so far away to just to be clear, talk to a guy.
It's about a 19-hour drive. Rough.
That's not that long, but it's a long drive.
Check it. No, you're right. No, you're right. Oh, of course it's not. No, it's
It would take me 2.5 weeks by motorcycle.
No. You're absolutely right, because I made that drive to Paducah, and that's like, or to Southern Illinois.
It's like 8 or 9 hours. 8 hours from Ozarks to.
It is not a whimsical drive that you make out of. He was just checking on a hunch. Yeah, everybody in the show is a genius or an idiot, and I don't mind that because it means that like the idiots are often manipulated very well, and the geniuses often come up with magical ways to get out of crazy situations.
I even liked that the cartel boss is not like a stupid thug. Like he's a very calculating businessman, which is what the reality at the top of a cartel is. Like it's not some guy.
It's not a madman
with a snake tattoo across his forehead. It's a guy who's like running numbers.
Yeah, if he's going to do it for very long anyway, you would imagine. Yeah, I like him a lot. I like his style. What did he say to Marty? He's like, "You win when I win," and just like keep that in mind the whole time. And Marty's just like, "Yeah, pretty much. Okay, I get you. You're right.
Yeah,
I can't. No." And Marty says that later on. He said, "Like you said, I win when you win." He's like, "That is not what I said. I said that you do not win until I win." There is a difference.
Yeah.
It's such a scary situation where like I can't tell what's the scarier aspect of it. Like he's got so many guns pointed at him all the time, and there's so many wild cards in the show, so many people who are just like insane. The cartel actually seems like good people to do business with because you can take them at their word. The FBI seems terrifying to deal with. They'll just lie.
Yeah, and then like kill you.
And some of the people they deal with are so insane that they might kill you for the fun of it.